This is Nash, our Porsche Cayenne Turbo.
So the reason we've bought this is our Audi S6 obviously went up in flames, and that left a huge hole in the garage. So what we needed to do was replace it, and this is basically the way we've gone. This is a 2003 model, and these emit an amazing 450 horsepower from factory and massive tuning capabilities. So let's get this home and see how we get on. So that's it, we've checked the old Porsche over as much as we want to, and now we're going to drive it home. So we're just going to hit the road. Richard, I'm afraid, is going to have to jump in the other car because he's brought me down here today, and I get to drive the Porsche home. My God, everything is beefy. So we've got check license plate light, airbag suspension, and an engine light on. So yeah, we're doing well here. Now, as you can imagine, this was cheap. This was proper cheap because it's got a lot of faults with it, but we don't mind because we're going to chop it to bits. But it does do that, which is amazing. That is some proper horsepower, I've got to be honest. That is pretty amazing actually. This Shep found, and it really did tick all of the boxes. The S6 was a big loss to the garage, and we're proper gutted about it, especially when it was at that point where it was making Lambo power. It had lost all of the weight, and it was kind of doing everything that we wanted it to do. But then obviously the big fire struck, so we needed to carry on that build plan. Obviously we haven't told you what this car is eventually going to be for yet, but it is coming, and hopefully you'll see why we bought the S6 and also why we bought this as well. But for now, I'm just enjoying this lovely Cayenne. It would have been nice to get a Turbo S, but they carry an even bigger price tag. This was right money, like proper right money. So we can afford to spend on it, we can afford to tune it, we can afford to modify it and turn it into something really different. I actually genuinely don't know where I'm going. I don't know if I've gone the wrong way or the right way. Little bit lost. Really twitchy throttle. It's definitely wants to go all the time, and I'm definitely getting used to that a little bit as well. Oh, that way. Well, so far, Porsche ownership is good. Quite like this. Right, so our cheap Porsche so far has a very noisy engine, so we think it might be a camshaft. We think it could possibly be aircon pump. But what we're going to do is, first of all, get home. That's the ideal thing. So we're going to coax it home real gentle, give it a check over, give it a service and an oil change, and then see where we get to from there. This one? This one. I've also got a major oil leak on one of the rocker cover gaskets. So yeah, I've had to turn all the vents off and everything because it's pouring smoke into the cabin, so that's not nice. So I've got to keep the revs down, make sure this oil isn't going all over the turbos as well, which could be pretty dangerous to be fair. But yeah, just keeping the revs down seems to be the trick. But yeah, the test drive, it didn't seem to like the extra RPMs and the extra oil down the side of it. So yeah, just taking it gently for now. Gotta be honest, what a stunning sounding engine this is. Absolutely incredible. You think it's a 4.5 litre twin turbo V8 in this, and I know it's a big car to move around, so it probably deserves a V8, but what an engine. You just think, what an incredible piece of kit. It'd be lovely if they'd have put this engine in one of the small Porsches, and correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know that, they may have done, but yeah, I think this engine in something a lot smaller would just be breathtaking, to be fair. So there we go, Nash is in the garage for the first time. It did get us home safe and sound, and she's now got a name on the bonnet as well. But, as I said earlier, Nash was super cheap, and the reason for that is it has a few big problems. And starting with, we have an engine noise on the bank of the V8 on this side. The noise is travelling, so we're getting it literally from top to bottom. So what I've got to do is diagnose it. Now, I'm going to start with an oil change, because when we actually dipped it, there were metal filings in there. But that could mean a number of things. It could just mean it hasn't had oil change in a while, or we could have wear on the camshaft. These cars actually do suffer with rocker cover gaskets leaking, which is another problem this has. So if you really romp on it, oil does leak out of the rocker covers and onto the turbo, so it does smoke, which is a bit unnerving. But what happens is, if this is left for a long time, the engine actually gets starved of oil, especially on the camshafts. So we're going to have a quick look at that now and see if we can sort it. So firstly, I'm going to show you this engine noise. So this being a V8, it's actually a 4.5 litre twin turbo V8. You've got two banks of the engine. The noise is coming from this side as well. It is travelling up and down, so we're going to have a first initial look as well and see where it's coming from. So I think that the noise is coming from around about here. But as well, let's have a little look underneath. So we're moving the camera and the microphone around. I think you'll agree that this side is definitely noisier than the driver's side. What I'm going to do first, as I said, is drop the oil, so let's get that done now. Got some weird out hissing noises coming from this. Very strange. So I've just taken off the oil cap from the top of the engine. The engine is nice and warm already. I'm going to get underneath and then undo the sump plug and let all the oil drain out. This engine actually takes 8.5 litres of oil as well, so a monster amount of oil for this thing. Right, so sump plug is just here. Now, Nash is by far the heaviest car I've ever had on this ramp. Thankfully it's a 4 tonne and this is 2.3 tonnes I believe. So yeah, monster heavy. So let's see if we've got any metal filings in here, will be the first thing. Oh, it's getting heavy. Ow, ow, ow. Uh-oh. That is getting heavy. Quick, 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 quick. Put it. Oof. That sudden realisation when you start that and then you go, this tray's only 4 litres. There's meant to be 8.5 litres in here and, well, this holds just over 4. But the dipstick's showing good level, that's really strange. I think I've spotted a second sump plug just up here. Oh, you know. Whoever has done these, they are way too tight. Way too tight. Oh. Let's give that a little nip. See if any comes out of this, because it looks pretty dry, but I think it will be because it's a bit higher than the other one. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. There's the rest of the oil. My God. There we go then. So that's both sumps drained. What we'll do next is the filter as well. The oil, in general, isn't too bad. It looks like it hasn't been changed in a while, but there's no metal in it that I can see so far. It does look like it needs a change. What's really strange is, looking at the dipstick, it was bang on where it needed to be. But looking at this, it hasn't really dropped out nearly as much as it should have done, which is a bit worrying actually. Odd. So what I'm going to do is let this finish draining, then we'll change the filter, and yeah, on we go, try and hopefully discover why it's making that noise on that side. What we want to do is see if we've got any proper shards of metal in here. Now when we pulled the dipstick, there was a few bits of aluminium on here. Now, I haven't seen any of that. The big thing about them being chunks of aluminium is, obviously they won't stick to a magnet, so they're harder to fish out. Now, the oil so far does look in pretty good condition. So I'm going to get the torch. Right, so we've got a little bit of silvering just coming at the bottom now. So I'm going to tilt this up, because then as I pour them out, there are any chunks of metal. We'll hear them. So we do have a little bit of silver in there, but in all honesty, that's not too bad. Again, if there's any chunks in here, I'd rather know. Again, it looks pretty clean. So it might be lucky. It might not be something. It might be something else. It might not be the camshaft, which would be fabulous if that is the case. That's great news. So what we'll do, let's stick the new filter back in. I'm going to knock the auxiliary belt off. If I take it off, just run it for a couple of minutes, the engine won't get too hot, but it'll also eliminate if there's anything making the noise that's kind of on the auxiliary system. So that's air conditioning, power steering, water pump, anything like that. So pop the new filter in here, and away we go. Always remember as well, guys, oil filters are only 25 Newton meters. They don't need going mad. Same with your sump plugs. Top tip for you when you're checking your level when the oil's cold. Never fill it all the way up to the maximum straight away. So what you want to do is get it to about 7/8, so just above a quarter. Then run the engine up and then check it again. The reason is it gives you a bit of room then for oil expansion. It's really important because sometimes you can get a oil level sensor coming on and it's just too full. So just make sure you don't overfill it. Right, so that's it. Oil and filter is changed. Now the noise is still there on the passenger side bank. I didn't really think it was going to go. I thought I'd chance my luck with that for a first start. So tomorrow, when the car is cooled down, I'm going to replace the rocker cover gasket. This is a common issue on these, and as I say, the oil is actually blowing out and onto the turbos, and we can also check the camshafts over while we're in there. Right, so it is day number 2 working on Nash, our Porsche Cayenne Turbo. So the car has been out running errands and we've been throwing junk in the back of it and driving it all over the country. But now I want to have another look at this noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the auxiliary belt off the front of the engine, and hopefully it's something on the front of the engine such as the air conditioning pump or just an idler pulley, and the noise is travelling to the top. So let's get on it. Right, so what I'm going to do first, I'm going to remove all of these pipes across the top here. It looks as though somebody's been fiddling there because there's a lot of broken things and loose cable ties and stuff. And then I can get down to the actual belt tensioner. All I need to do is release the tension off the belt, flick the belt off, start it up. If the noise is gone, we're on to a winner. We've just got to identify the noisy pulley. Right, so still currently working down to get into the belt. However, I had a really big hiccup here, and somebody had RTV'd the plug into the throttle body, and so basically glued it in there. The next thing is just trying to get this intake pipe off. Then RTV sealed it all the way around to stick it onto the throttle body. They may have had a leak there, but that is just not the way to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna have a good clean up as well. Because of how they've glued it in, they've put copper slip around it as well, just so odd. It's actually gone all slimy inside the throttle body, so I'm gonna clean all of that out, have a good clear up, and then I'm finally down at the belt as well. So the belt is now off the Cayenne, so we'll give it a little fire up. I don't need to put any of these boost pipes back on or anything because it'll run fine just for a few minutes, and we'll see if that noise is gone. So fingers crossed, this will be the real bit where this could be a proper cheap car. Okay, so it didn't run for long, but there was no engine noise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick the boost pipe back on, because that's what I'm thinking was stopping it from actually running for very long, but there was no engine noise. So we might be onto a winner here. Let's bang it back together. Right, so I've put the intake pipe back on. I've attached a few more sensors and stuff. Let's see if it'll run for a little bit longer. But yeah, the noise to me had gone, which yeah, I'm quite excited. Let's just double check. Brilliant, we are proper onto a winner now. So that looks like it's the air conditioning pump, which is exactly what we thought it was, but because the noise was travelling, we weren't 100%. So yeah, winner, let's go and find an aircon pump. Now, I would prefer to bypass this, the degrees, and then you can wind the level bung back in, so we can take it for a test drive. move for the Porsche is it's actually going into a local garage. Now they are going to do the air conditioning pump for us. The reason we're sending it into a local garage is we don't have the means to actually drain air conditioning and refill it. So what we're going to do is drop it off there. The other benefit to them actually having a look at it as well is if there's anything we've missed on this vehicle, we need this to be absolutely A1, 100% mechanically. You will see why in later episodes, but we do want it to be perfect. So another set of eyes is always helpful at a time like this.
Well, hey, Nash is back from the garage. Now, while it's been there, they've put on the replacement air conditioning pump. Not that we were bothered about it working, it was more the fact of that horrible noise coming from the front, and that needed sorting. Well, it was there because obviously another mechanic's casting their eye over it is always going to be helpful. It also had a pair of lower arms on the front. That was why it was kind of juddering and pulling to the left a bit when it was braking, so it's another safety measure, something else crossed off the list. The other thing is, it's got an engine light on now. It's had this engine light on, I've plugged in, located it down to the O2 sensors, and they've confirmed that as well. However, they have not been done yet, and the reason is, this thing is having big turbos. That's the whole reason for this episode. So, we've gone through the car, it's had everything it needs done on it, and that way it'll be right when we add more power to it. As well, when we do the turbos, dropping the exhaust out is going to be already happening. It's already going to be in that area. So putting them on then just makes more sense. But that'll all be in another episode. Thanks for watching. But for now, see you on the next episode of the Anarchy Garage.